The Adventures of Sodor, The Early Years, Episode 5, Rain. Henry had finally came out the shed and was bringing his passenger train up to the Vicarstown station. He had not been released at the sheds ever since his first day, and now he was able to run again. "All aboard my train," he said. He then looked at the rails. It's beginning to rain, and then he saw dirt being rolled off the rails. "I don't want my paint to be washed off," he said, and ran undercover into the station. "What are you doing, Henry?" said his driver. "I'm not going out in the rain," he said. "Don't be silly," said his driver. "You're not going to have your paint washed off you. That only happens with dirt," said his driver. "Well, I'm not spoiling my green paint with red stripes," he said. "Well, we're having to pull the train whether you like it or not," said his driver. Henry was not happy about this, but he steamed on anyway. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he said. He was racing down the line as fast as he could. "Careful, Henry, we're not in a rush," said his driver. "Hurry," he said. He did not like the rain. "Slow down, Henry," said his driver. No, said Henry. "Oh dear," said his driver. Henry was racing down the line as fast as he could. He did not want to get his lovely green paint with red stripes spoiled. "I'm not going to get my lovely green paint and red stripes spoiled by the rain," he said. He was letting his wheels do the work. "Don't be so silly," said his driver. "Look," said Henry, "would you spoil your lovely green paint with red stripes for me?" said Henry. "We don't even have paint," said his driver. Henry was racing down the line. He spotted a tunnel in the distance. "Driver, stop me in the tunnel," said Henry. "Sorry, Henry, but we can't. You have to get past the tunnel," said his driver. "Then," said Henry, "I will go and pull us in the tunnel and stop us there," he said. He rounded a turn and was coming up to the tunnel. "Well, that's Ballyhoo Tunnel. Well, there's only 2 lanes there. This should pay you both out," said Henry. As they neared the tunnel, he sped up. "Henry, you don't want to be an engine afraid of rain, do you?" said his driver. "I do," said Henry. "If I don't like the rain, then I don't like it," said Henry. Then he heard some children singing. "Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain," they said. Henry was really worried of the rain. He did not want his screen paint with red stripes to be washed off him. Then the children sang. He went into a tunnel, squeezed through his funnel, and didn't come out again. Henry steamed through the tunnel in sadness. He saw the clouds begin to go away, but the rain had not stopped yet. He eventually came to the exit of the tunnel, but instead of going through, he stopped. However, he mistimed his stop. "Ah," he said, "my paint." As he came to a stop, he forced himself to reverse back. "This is not pleasant," he said. Feeling the rain Rain pattering on his spoiler did not feel nice to an engine like Henry, who was quite sensitive. He slowly steamed into the tunnel and came to a stop. "Phew," he said. Henry smiled. "Ah," he said, "out of the rain." Then his driver came up. "Come on, Henry," he said, "move." "No, I'm in the tunnel and now I'm protected." He was very pleased with himself. Once the rain stopped, Winston and Edward were coming down the line, and they saw Henry up ahead. "What's Henry up to?" asked Edward. "I don't know," said Winston. "We better ask him when we arrive," he said. "What's going on?" said Sir Topham Hatt. "Henry's stopped in the tunnel, sir," said Edward. "We'll have a look at what he's done," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Henry, what have you done?" said Edward. "I've done nothing, apart from just keeping my paint safe from the rain," said Henry. "It's stopped raining now, Henry. You don't have to be afraid of the rain." "Yes, that's right," said Winston. "Rain's just water like you put in your boiler, you know," said Winston. "I don't care," said Henry. "I want to stay safe from the rain." "Then go to your shed if you don't want to go in the rain," said Edward. "No, never," said Henry. "Oh dear," said Edward. "May I meet Henry, Edward?" said Sir Topham. "Yes," said Edward. "Winston, can you stay here while I go for help?" said Edward. "Yes, Edward," said Winston. "Okay," said Edward. "Sir, I'll go and get help," said Edward. "Okay," said Sir Topham Hatt. "I'll head off to Vicarstown for help," said Edward, and he steamed away. Henry was still very pleased with himself until the passengers said and came out. "Look, Henry," said the passengers, "it stopped raining. Can you take us back to where we were? Back to the station? Can you take us over to the station now?" they said. But Henry was not up in a good mood after that. "No," he said, "it will begin to rain soon, and I'm not going to spoil my lovely green paint with red stripes for some passengers," said Henry. "You really should treat your passengers better," said Winston. "You only work on this railway because you're needed, and without passengers and goods, we wouldn't even be working on this railway," said Winston. "I don't care," said Henry. "I'm not spoiling my paint job up for some passengers." Sir Topham Hatt, "He's refusing to come out the tunnel," said Winston. "Right," said Sir Topham. "I'll see what we can do." So Sir Topham Hatt came out the coaches and walked over to Henry. "Henry," he said. "Yes," said Henry. "If you refuse to come out the tunnel, then I'm afraid we'll have to pull you out," said Sir Topham. "You're not going to get me out," he said. "Oh, I think we can," said Sir Topham. "Winston, do you have a rope?" he said. "Well, I do have one in my train, in the brake van. We use it if we, if there's a runaway," said Winston. "Then I'd like that rope, please." And Sir Topham Hatt walked over to the brake coach. He asked the guard if he could borrow it. So he brought the rope over back to Henry. "Henry," he said, "we'll pull you out." The passengers attached the rope to Henry's coupling and all grabbed the rope. "Right, you'll all grab the rope," said Sir Topham Hatt, "and then you'll pull Henry out the tunnel," said Sir Topham. The passengers agreed. 3, 2, 1, pull Henry out, said Sir Topham. The passengers pulled as hard as they could. Winston watched and was not pleased. He saw they weren't moving Henry a budge. Then the passengers stopped and looked at the Topham Hatt. "Oh, my doctor has forbidden me to pull. Sorry, I thought I didn't tell you earlier," said the Topham Hatt. The passengers dropped the rope. The Topham Hatt went to Henry and took the rope off and brought it back to the guard. "Sorry, that did not work, guard," he said. "Okay," said the guard. "Could you help us try and push Henry out the tunnel?" said Sir Topham. "Yes," said the guard. "Also, here's your rope back," said Sir Topham. "Right," said the guard. "Winston, we're not giving up yet, so you don't need to leave just yet," said Sir Topham. "Okay," said Winston. "Henry, we're going to push you out the tunnel," said Sir Topham. Henry did not look pleased, so the passengers all scrambled up behind the coaches, including Henry's and Winston's driver and fireman, and Henry's and Winston's guard, including Winston's passengers as well. "This should be enough force to push Henry out the tunnel," said Sir Topham. 3, 2, 1, push," said Sir Topham. "Push him out, come on," he said. The passengers and everyone tried hard to push Henry out, but it was no good. Then they all looked at Sir Topham. "Oh, didn't I mention my doctor has forbidden me to push?" he said. They tried again and did not work. They all went back into their coaches and their engines. "Sir," said Winston. Sir Topham ran to Winston. "Yes, Winston," said Sir Topham. "May I suggest me trying to push Henry out?" said Winston. "Like, I'm an actual engine, not people, and I probably have enough strength to push him out," said Winston. "Right," said Sir Topham. "You can try that," he said. "Right," said Winston. "Just go and turn around at Crosby. There's a turntable there," said Sir Topham. "Okay," said Winston. And Winston steamed off to Crosby. Soon Winston had turned around and was steaming up to Henry. "Now, Henry," said Winston, "time to push you out the tunnel." He buffered up to Henry and pushed as hard as his wheels would let him. "Come on, Henry," he said. He blew his whistle out of anger. However, Henry would not move. "I'm not spoiling my lovely green paint and red stripes for anyone," he said, "and that's fact." He only slightly moved. Winston's face went as red as his paintwork. He eventually gave up. "If you can't move, Henry, then you can stay there," he said. "Hooray," said Henry. "Sorry, sir, he will not move," said Winston. "You could try pulling, but I don't think that would give a better result," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Yes, but what if we need 2 engines to help, not 1, said Winston. "Good idea, Winston. I'll send 98462 and 87546 immediately," said Sir Topham. "At least it isn't an engine from the other railways," said Winston. Winston gently coupled up to his train and glared over at Henry. "Henry, if you won't move by 1 engine or many people, then we'll move you by 2 engines," he said, and he moved out the way so 98462 and 87546 could arrive and swap to get into their locations. "Henry, this is really silly of you," he said as he moved out the way. Henry just didn't take any notice. He said. "I'll be glad once the railway is all ours and you don't have a big green caterpillar on our railway," said Winston. Soon 98462 and 87546 arrived. "So I see we have an engine stuck in the tunnel, eh?" said 87546. "All I see is a big green slime on wheels," said 98462. Don't worry, sir, we'll get him out, said 87546. You do know better than to stay in tunnels, Henry, said 87546. Just because you're stuck in a tunnel does not give you that right to stay in it. So what happened, Henry? Did your boiler scrape on the roof of it and then you got stuck in it? Said 87546. No, said Henry. The rain's not going to spoil my lovely green paint with red stripes, he said. So you went in the tunnel because of some rain, says 98462. Who said that? Says Henry. I did, said 98462. Well, 98462, I'll have you know, before Henry could say anything, 98462 and 87546 coupled up. Now you big green slime on wheels, said 98462. Get moving, he said. Even Henry had his brakes on. Even the two of the strongest engines on the railway could not even pull one big engine out of the tunnel. Come on, you big green slime on wheels, said 98462. If we can't pull you, then you stay there, says 87546. Good, I want to stay here, says Henry. Then stay here, said 98462. We are not going to... We will do what you say, Henry, they said. If you want to stay here, you're staying here, said 98462. And he steamed away. Yes, says 87546, and he steamed away. Well, sir, said Winston, I don't think we'll be able to get this green slime on wheels out of the this green caterpillar out of the tunnel, sir, said Winston. Well, if he wants to stay in the tunnel, Winston, he'll stay in the tunnel. What? Said Winston. Yes, if he doesn't want to come out the tunnel, then we'll let him stay in the tunnel. Thank you, sir, said Henry. But sir, you're leaving an expensive piece of machinery in the tunnel, and we're going to have no trains to help us, sir. What are we going to do? Said Winston. Don't worry, I'll have 98462 and 87546 doing Henry's jobs. That was one of the points for them to come here as well, to do Gordon's jobs, but he and Henry are quite similar, Gordon and Henry. Said Sir Topham. Thank you, sir, for leaving me in the tunnel, said Henry. Oh, I'm not leaving you in the tunnel, said Sir Topham. What? Said Henry. I'm going to make it more cruel than that, said Sir Topham. I'm going to leave you in the tunnel, take away your rails, and brick you up, said Sir Topham. Now, if you excuse me, I need to make a phone call to Edward's driver. And he walked over to Winston's brake coach. He told the guards to call Edward to bring a coach of workmen and some trucks full of bricks. Soon Edward's driver got the phone call, and Edward set off with an express coach full of builders and 2 trucks, one to hold all the bricks together and one full of bricks, with his brake van. This is why I do not like engines that are afraid of the most simple things. They just make the most simple things seem like the worst things in the world, and then we have to punish them in a way I do not want to, said Edward. It's just not right to an engine, he thought. As he passed by Crosby, he was still not happy. I'll be glad when Henry gets over his fear, he said. He did feel a little sorry for Henry, but really, he did not feel sorry for him at the same time. He knew that, while he was afraid of the rain, it was a fear that he would not be able to come over. At least, not fast.
Winston, said Edward,
Yes, said Winston. I need you to move back a little. I have a good strain, he said. Right, said Winston. Edward pops out from the tunnel, and Winston steams back to give Edward some room. Everyone's all set for you, Edward. Right, said Edward. I'll park these on the other side of the tunnel. You mean shunt them, Edward? Yes, shunt, said Edward. Then I can take away Henry's coaches, and then we can drive him back a little bit into the tunnel, and then we can begin work, said Edward. Right, said Winston. I hope this teaches you a lesson, Henry, said Edward. Henry did not reply. Winston, keep an eye on him, will you, while we build the wall, said Edward. Yes, said Winston. First, Edward had to take away Henry's coaches before he could do anything. Right, Henry, you wanted to stay in the tunnel. You'll get it, he said. Edward was not really happy with Henry staying in the tunnel, but you already know that. So he coupled up to Henry's coaches. Henry wasn't coupled from the coaches. And Edward steamed away with Henry's coaches. Hope this teaches you a lesson, Henry, said Edward, and he took the coaches back to Vicarstown. He then arrived back, and his driver and fireman, and Henry's driver and fireman had gone into Winston's train. So now Henry just had to be driven back. Edward's driver and fireman offered to bring Henry into the tunnel more, so they did. And now Henry was just in the shadows. Now it was time for the workmen to come out. Henry had no steam to apply. Edward's driver and fireman made sure to get Henry out of steam. So now, without any steam being made for Henry, he could no longer talk without his steam. Then the wall was made, and Henry looked on and was not happy. Why did you have to be so cruel? Said Henry. Sorry, Henry, said Edward. We do not want to do this, but if you're going to stay in the tunnel just because of some rain, we have to, said Edward. I did not want to put you in the tunnel and break you up, but it was by Sir Topham's request, said Edward. Right, time to get us out, time to get away, Winston. It's time to finish our train for the day, said Edward. This took far too long. So Edward coupled up to the brake van and took away the goods. He deserved to be shut up in the tunnel, said the two trucks. I don't think so, said the brake van. Oh well, at least he did have it coming, said the brake van. Yes, he did, said Edward. Then Winston steamed on with his train as well. Now he and Edward were pulling. You had it coming, Henry. If you did not exit the tunnel, this would have never happened, he said. And he exited the tunnel in sadness, but also was a bit frustrated with Henry staying in the tunnel. He knew he did not deserve it, but he did have it coming, and he knew that. Henry was left in the tunnel. He never came out again. At least not for a long time. But I think he had it coming, don't you?